Hey there, thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about home ownership costs. In a recent survey, 69% of people said they felt house poor. Do y'all know what house poor means? It means if you own a house, there are unexpected costs and things like that that hit your budget that you did not see coming. So therefore, you're paying a little more money each month for your house, and you didn't quite think you would be paying that much. So as a result, you're what they call house poor. In this video, I'm going to lay out some tips for you and some things to look out for and plan for so that you do not become house poor in your current property that you're in, or if you're thinking about buying a new one, you want to make sure that you evaluate and think about these few tips so that you can live in your house comfortably and not be stressed out about money each month, because we don't want to get stressed out about money and budgets, right? So stay tuned, and I think you're going to learn a little bit from this one. So let's jump in here and talk about home ownership costs. Now, some of you might be saying, hang on, you're a realtor. Why are you telling people about home ownership costs? Shouldn't you be encouraging them to buy a house? Well, I'm not discouraging you from buying a house, but the way I operate with my clients is that I'm open and honest in every situation. So I want to make sure that you understand 100% what you're getting into regarding a property or any other thing in life, that we might discuss together. So I just want to make sure that you've got a great picture of what could happen or what could come your way in the future if you're jumping into a new property. So let's talk about those home ownership costs. And I'll tell you guys that despite the fact that yes, there are costs associated with owning a home, in a recent survey, 90% of the people said, hey, you know what? It's still a great option for me. It's still better than renting. So I don't regret being a homeowner. But there are costs that come with owning your own home. So in this video, I'm going to jump into those for you, and let's jump right in and let's start with number one. So number one, there are straight up regular repair costs associated with owning your own home. So what do I mean by repairs? For example, your HVAC could go out, right? And if you're renting a property, then you know what happens. Then you call the landlord and you say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Landlord, my AC's out. Can you come fix it for me? And they handle that repair. Well, when you own your own home, guess what? That repair's on you. So a regular repair cost like an HVAC going out is something you have to be mindful of. And that's a big one. Don't get me wrong. That's one of the bigger things that can happen to your house. You could have a roof, right? A roof leak. And that's another big one that could happen. But then there are also some smaller things too. Maybe your washer or dryer goes out. Maybe your ice maker goes out in your fridge. But just keep in mind that when you are the owner of that property, if those standard repairs come up, then you got to pay for those. And I get it. It's almost impossible to predict those and budget for those. I mean, you have to budget for them, but it's impossible to budget exactly how much you need to set aside for those, because A, you don't know when something's going to break, and B, you usually don't know how much it's going to cost until it's happened and you end up getting quotes and things like that. But as you're thinking about maybe jumping into your next property, allocate something into your budget each month for those repairs that come up, because believe me, we all know in life, stuff happens, and a lot of times things happen at the wrong time, which can pose a challenge for us. So number two, I want to talk about maintenance costs. So what do I mean by maintenance costs? I'll give you a great example. So right out here, I don't know if you can see in the video, but I've got a deck right outside my window. So that deck has to be stained and sealed, and we do that every 2.5, say 3 years or so, something like that. That is a regular maintenance cost that we have associated with this property. What else would you have to maintain in your house? Let's say in the front yard, You got to maintain the lawn. If you've got a flower bed in the front yard, backyard, or whatever, you've got to maintain that. Pine straw, things like that that we have to throw down, at least a couple of times every year just to keep it fresh. So once again, if you're renting, when those maintenance items come up, it's on the landlord. But for you, you've got to make sure that you understand, hey, I've got to also maintain a home. And I will tell you guys, so we all know what's going on in the market right now. We're early 2022 still. Housing prices are going up. And I know that some people are in sticker shock mode. And I'll share with you, I got a little cheat sheet note up here. You can probably see it. But 3.1% is the number when we talk about mortgages and how much people are paying for mortgages. People's mortgage costs each month have increased 3.1% last year. So over 2021, you're paying on average, we're all paying about 3.1% more for a mortgage. But the 0.7% number that you see there, that's how much all of our incomes on average have increased. So what does that mean? If your mortgage has gone up 3.1%, but your income has only gone up 0.7%, that means you've got less money, right? Less extra money each month, which I know is not a good thing. But I wanted to point that out to make sure you consider repairs and maintenance as part of your monthly budget when you're thinking about costs associated with your next property. Let's hit pause real quick and make sure that you like and subscribe my video, okay? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you know what? If you were here with me, I'd give you a big old high five for that. A third cost that people typically underestimate when owning a home is homeowners insurance cost. So this home insurance cost, it varies, right? Depending on what part of the country you're in. If you're in a coastal area that's prone to hurricanes, let's say for example, your home insurance is probably going to be pretty hefty every year. I'm in Georgia here in the northern Atlanta area, so of course we don't have to worry about hurricane insurance or anything like that. So ours is a little more manageable, but it's still an expense that you have to keep in mind. A lot of people, when they're looking at costs for their house, when they're thinking about the loan, they like to look at the principal and the interest each month because yes, that's a big part of your monthly payment, but don't forget about that home insurance cost because that's something you'll have to carry for your property. Number 4, let's talk about homeowners association fees. So for HOA fees, some of you might not have to worry about this because maybe you're off on a property that's isolated away from everyone else and you've got a nice little plot of land. You're not in a neighborhood or a community, so this would not apply to you. But for a lot of folks, there is an HOA fee that's associated to their property. Me and my family here in Canton, in the neighborhood we live in, we have a homeowners association. So when you're looking at that next property, make sure that you ask the right questions. So ask to see that community association disclosure because in that disclosure it will tell you what's the fee. Sometimes there's an initiation fee that you'll have to pay, and then quite often there is either an annual or a quarterly fee. Sometimes it may be structured monthly as well, but most commonly you'll see that there's a fee that you can pay, like I said, per quarter, or you can pay it one time per year. And once again, that fee varies based on the community. Some communities that have a swim and tennis, for example, there's a lot more maintenance and there's an insurance cost for the HOA. And if you don't have a lot of homes in the community, then a lot of times that HOA fee is a little bit higher. But just be mindful of that as you're trying to budget as well. Number 5, let's talk about taxes on the home. So this 5th item, it's a real one that we all have to face. We all pay property tax. And I'll tell you that these tax costs, we've all seen they're typically going up every year, which we all love, right? Yes, we all love to pay more taxes. Not. But it's a real cost associated with your property. And once again, based on the area of the country where you're living, this tax cost could be pretty high, could be a little more manageable, but it's oftentimes it's a factor of where you live, and how big your property is, how big the acreage is where your house sits, and things like that. So I will say, if you know, you're younger like we are and you have kids in school, then of course as part of your property tax, there's a school tax that's incorporated in there as well, so you pay a little more. But keep taxes in mind. So you've got your principal and your interest and your homeowner's insurance, and then of course taxes every month that you have to pay. So guys, so here are 5 big factors that people oftentimes underestimate when they jump into a property, and therefore, as I said earlier in the video, people sometimes jump into the house and after a few months they become what we call house poor. They have these unexpected costs that they weren't aware of beforehand, and it's kind of bit them after the fact, and it makes things a little stressful. So what I try to do with my clients is I try to make sure when we're looking at properties and we're thinking about budgeting, you know, a lot of times people want to look at what your lender will approve you for, and say the lender approves you for a $700,000 house. People want to say, okay, yeah, I can afford something at $699, I'm good. Well, maybe you are, but you know, I like to tell my folks, hey, keep these items in mind as well, because that's something else that you're going to have to pay for in addition to that monthly mortgage. So I hope this video has helped you out. I really appreciate you jumping in with me today. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out to me. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video. Maybe you are looking to buy your next property. In this YouTube channel of mine, I've got a video that you see here, and it talks about how to create an offer, how to create, more importantly, a winning offer in today's market. Because as a buyer, I know it can be tough and it can be frustrating, but how can you convert your offer into a cash offer while using standard lending, you know, going with your normal lender? How can you create that offer to put yourself in a better position to win that next property? Check out that video next. Have a good one.